Welcome to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show. Today, we take you to the Louisiana legislative session, where LRPA championed Parks and Recreation. Our special guest, Robyn Lott, Communications Director for BREC Park, one of America's greatest park systems, is here to discuss how her large team manages to get the message out about all the incredible things BREC offers. We'll delve into their unique Pitch Week program, effective communication strategies, and why a strong communications arm is essential for every park system. Join us as Robyn shares insights on elevating community through strategic storytelling in parks and recreation.
All right, this is Craig LeBlanc again with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Again, airing live from the Louisiana legislative session, where LRPA has booked the entire rotunda for nothing but Parks and Rec to mingle and talk with the legislators as they're passing laws for all the citizens of Louisiana. My special guest here today works with BREC Park, one of the greatest park systems in America. She is the communications director in charge of quite a large team and budget focused on just getting the message out about all the things that BREC Park are for us. So maybe you can kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you get that messaging out to all of Baton Rouge.
Sure. So my name is Robyn Lott. I am a very recent addition to the BREC team. Been in this role for about 32 days, but have some previous experience having served as the marketing and public relations director at BREC's Baton Rouge Zoo. So the subject matter is not completely foreign to me, but we really do. I think BREC does a phenomenal job of getting the messaging out there to our communities. We have a really unique program where we ask our media vendors in the community to come in once a year and participate in what we call Pitch Week. And so anyone who has a podcast like this, they have television programming, radio, outdoor billboards, digital, all the things, are able to come in that 1 week, and they get 20 minutes in the room to pitch us exactly why they feel their medium is the best way to reach our audiences. We have multiple marketing managers that are over each of the different areas, and they listen to those recommendations and then ultimately make decisions about how to write their marketing plans accordingly. So as far as getting our messaging out there, we really think long and hard about it, and we utilize that time frame. Pitch Week is usually in August. We usually spend a couple of months preparing the plans, and then our commission approves those in the month of November. So we really have everything mapped out for the entire coming year. By, say, that Thanksgiving time frame, we've got it planned, we've got it approved, we're signing contracts at the end of the year, and are able to really hit the ground running.
Now, how many people do y'all have total on your marketing team?
We have 16 folks. Yes, 16 folks on our team. We have several who handle what we call a marketing manager position. So they work with the individual departments. And so they may, for example, work with the aquatics group. And so they will know what types of demographics are utilizing our aquatic services. And then they'll write a marketing plan accordingly based on their needs and programming and timing of their special events and things of that nature. And then we also have several graphic designers on staff. We have an in-house videographer. We also have a social media team. So we really are somewhat of an in-house, almost like a little in-house agency of sorts. So we have a project management software that we use to be able to put projects in the system, stay on task and on time. And all.
What do y'all use for your project management?
It's called Wrike, W-R-I-K-E. I know there have been some used in the past. From years ago when I was at the zoo, we had a different program that we used, but this is the one we're using now. I like it, and it seems to be relatively user-friendly. I know it has some really cool capabilities we aren't utilizing yet, but that do have the capabilities to monitor hours spent on a project, what our capacities look like in terms of determining whether we need additional team members and things of that nature.
Now, I know a lot of park systems, we have to communicate what's the good stuff that's happening, but there's the side where something might be a little more challenging to communicate, or fires you need to put out.
Sure.
But any recommendation on how do you approach something that might be maybe not the best news, but you're having to kind of get out in front of it and communicate it?
It's a regular occurrence in this role. And I think part of that is learning that there will always be things that go wrong. We are in the parks and rec industry. So there will be places that have to be closed. There will be crime. There will be issues operationally. it's really just mitigating those as best you can, trying to pivot. I know we've really tried hard to, if something is, let's, for example, say unable to be open, what can we offer as an alternative so that we're not only not giving just the bad news, but we're also providing an option for some good news in there as well. Also feel that it's very important to keep an ongoing line of communication with the media, so that you're talking to them and giving them some of the cool stories, not just hearing from them or talking to them when there's something that's a problem. So we just do our best to keep those moments as condensed as possible. Try not to let them take over. It can easily take over, like someone in my role, it can absolutely take over the big bulk of your day to deal with an issue. So I know one of my goals is just to quickly figure out what is the situation, how best to message it, get that out, and move forward with all of the positive and great things we have going on, because that's like a tiny little percentage of all the things that we do.
Now, do you have any message for any other, Parks and Rec professionals that are in charge of communication, in charge of getting the message out? What are some tips of the industry or tips of the craft as far as being in charge of communication specifically for Parks and Rec that you give people?
I think a lot of it is knowing your audience. Ultimately we serve the community, that we're tax funded. And so basically being very open and listening to what the community wants, what they need, and how best can we reach them where they are, versus trying to get them to come where we are. So if social media, for example, is not what they're utilizing in, say, a program for adult leisure, which might be on the senior citizen age group, then we need to figure out how best to reach that audience, to serve them up with the messaging in a way that allows them to participate, be a part of it. Because ultimately, if your community doesn't know about the activities and programs, over time, they might forget about you or think that maybe you're not adding the value that we ultimately know that you are. So it's one big circle.
Yeah. So I guess the general, theme would be the park systems offers something from cradle to grave.
Correct.
But maybe the young kids communicate on one way and
Sure.
one platform, and the older community, maybe don't even know how to operate their phones. And
Very
so,
much.
and so you almost have to, not just the messaging, but also the platform
The
and
platforms.
how you.
Yes, for sure. And we also try to hit people from multiple angles. So we don't just assume that you would not be on that medium. We might produce something in a printed piece. We might put it on our website and drive you to it through a digital ad. We might also put it on a billboard. So we're going to try our very best that if you missed it in one space, you'll see it in another.
Now, y'all have almost like a little mini print shop.
We do.
So tell us more about that. What
do.
kind of stuff do you say this is good for print? This is good for maybe digital social media? How do you kind of...
So the bulk of what we produce tends to be signage. We do a lot of programming and events. And so we have a lot of signage for those. And then we also do playbooks every year in our print shop that are pretty substantial. Thousands of those are printed. We do them for each of the seasons to let people know what we have going on, register for camps and things of that nature. But our print shop stays relatively busy, and they handle more of the small level printing. So booklets, posters, some vinyl banners, things of that nature. If we have something really large or very, very permanent, like true park signage, metal park signage, that would go to outsource. But that's what we utilize our print shop for. It makes a lot of sense because we have a high volume of print work. And so instead of outsourcing it, spending the dollars with markup, we can keep it all in-house. We can have a team that supports it, and we can get it done relatively quickly.
Yeah. And so I know I'd love for you to speak to with this. A lot of people think that the only time you can get into Parks and Recreation is if you're into youth sports or you want to be a director, something like that. But a lot of times we're like, hey, the Parks and Rec needs accountant, they need communications, they need graphics designers, and your entire department almost comes from the creative side and the communication side of the job sector. So maybe speak a little bit to, if you have a group of college kids that are in communication, maybe give a little testimony about Parks and Recreation and your I guess craft.
Yeah, I think that any background, any role really can find a space in a Parks and Recreation system. It's much like a business. It's just not for profit, but we have a lot of the same roles and responsibilities. I think for someone specifically in the communications, marketing, public relations field, it offers a really good opportunity to do things that are really fun. Like our subject matter is cool. I've been in roles before where I've been in like financial or banking, which was nice, but it's really hard to like have a day where you work on something and you say, that was just really cool. And we do that. Like we touch lives, we're kind of change makers, and we are constantly coming up with new ideas, new programs, and new activities. And so with that, the creative soul gets an opportunity to sort of flourish. So I would not steer away from it if that's something of interest to you. It also comes with a little bit of stability for working for a little bit different than, say, an agency environment where you kind of are at the mercy of a client. From a budget standpoint, things are a little bit more stable on this side. So
yeah. So if you are in a communications major and you're like, well, now who do I go work for marketing, communications, whatever, please consider Parks and Recreation. I think every Parks and Recreation department throughout America needs to have a strong mouthpiece, a strong communications arm. And, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for what you would consider not necessarily traditional Parks and Rec professionals, but are absolutely necessary to run a good Parks and Rec department. And communications is a big component of getting the word out of what happens at the park level. So
for sure.
Well, Robyn, I appreciate you coming out on the show today here at the legislative session. There's rumors that BREC we may be doing a podcast together. We still have to work out those details, but I would love to help y'all produce a podcast with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. And just, this is one of the greatest park systems, I think, in America. And I'd love to highlight all the great work they do. So appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content. We elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by the doorman himself, Craig LeBlanc, and National Academy of Athletics founder Robyn Lott. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.